Good morning, everybody. I am Dr. P.S. Kaushik, Principal at Sri Gabbar Institute of Technology, Dosa, Rajasthan. I am taking this subject, engineering mechanics, and now in this lecture 20, we will be studying about the fundamentals of truss analysis. Let us recapture what we learned in the past. Till now, we studied what is mechanics, then force system of forces, fundamental laws of mechanics, then basic assumptions of mechanics. We studied about moment, then principle of moment and Lagrange form. We studied about friction, its mechanism, its laws, various definitions. Then we solved problems on block on a rough, inclined and horizontal plane. Then we solved problems on ladder. Then we solved problem on wedge and belts. In this lecture and next two lectures, we will be dealing with the determinate framed structure called truss. A truss is a structure composed of slender members joined together at their end points. Each member only takes axial forces. Here we came to know the word slender. Slender means a structural member whose longitudinal dimension is much larger than its lateral dimensions. Then that body or that member is called a slender member. For example, say this is a strut, its cross section is this much, whereas length is very large. Hence, we will say that it is a slender member. A framework composed of members joined at their ends to form a rigid structure, that is, joints or connections are normally welded, riveted, bolted or pinned. A plain truss members lie in a single plane. A truss will be called a plain truss if its members lie in a single plane. Okay. Then joints we are talking about normally welded, riveted or bolted, but for our analysis purpose we will consider that the joints are pinned, that is pins are frictionless. Hence, now here as a civil engineer, you may not be knowing till now, you know welding, that is joints are welded, can be welded if they are weldable materials. Then bolts, nut bolts you know, but rivets you may not be knowing. Here you can say that this is a rivet. This is a rivet. What we do, it is having head one side, other side it does not have any head. So when we are fitting it here, you see here this cross section is riveted here. You can see here. These are rivets. These are the 1, 2 and 3 members riveted together, or you can say 4 members riveted together, 1, 2, 3, 4 on a common panel. This is the common flange. On this, these are riveted together. Here what we do, we will drill a hole will drill a hole here in the member and the rivet, that is there are 6 holes are drilled. Then they will place this rivet in this side and they will make a, by hammering it or by squeezing or pressing it, they will make a head of this portion will be pressed, this portion, and this will also take a shape of like this. After shaping like this, by hammering, by squeezing, there are tools which can, when forced to, it will get squeezed. So this will be formed. Head will be, a permanent head is formed here, this side. There, here they will place a hammer or a bar this side, and they will hammer or tap it from this side, and they will form a head. But there are special tools which will automatically form this head. Okay, then this is called rivet. This is called rivet. Okay. Now, it is one of the major type of engineering structure which provides a practical and economical solution for many engineering constructions, especially in the design of bridges and buildings that demand large spans. I will be explaining in the next slides. Basically, you might have seen the framed structures on railway stations, railway bridges, or these all are framed structures or called normally truss. You may say a space truss, that is the high tension wire, high tension poles, or also space truss, because this is 3-dimensional structure, so we call it space truss. A truss is a structure composed of slender members joined together and at their end points. I already explained what do you mean by slender. Slender means a structural member which has larger longitudinal length compared to its lateral dimensions, that is length, the width and depth. The joint connections are usually formed by bolting or welding the ends of the members to a common plate called gusset. This is called gusset plate. What is called? This is called gusset plate. This planar trusses lie in single plane and it is often used to support roofs or bridges. Planar truss, this is a single plane truss. You will come in the next slide. Okay. Here, structural analysis, plane truss. This is basically a truss. Other one is that side, and this is being connected together by these horizontal members, and then a roof is placed, seat is placed over it. These are columns, 4 columns, 1, 2, 3, and that side. This is again an example of plane truss. Normally, here this end, one end is hinged, like this is a hinge joint, and this is a roller joint. Like this. The one end is made roller support, and this is a hinge support. Roller support is made because of to take into consideration the expansion due to change in temperature of the weather, also because due to deformation caused by the load acting over it. Common type of trusses, roof truss. These are roof trusses. They are often used as part of an industrial building frame roof load is transmitted to the truss at the joints by means of series of purlins. These are called purlins or horizontal members. These are purlins. To keep the frame rigid and thereby capable of resisting horizontal wind forces, knee braces are sometimes used at supporting columns. These are the knee braces, this one and this one. These are the knee braces. These are common type of roof trusses. Common type of trusses again, bridge truss. This is the example of bridge truss. The main structural element of the typical bridge truss are shown in the figure. Here it is seen that a load on the deck is first transmitted to the stringers, then to the floor beams, and finally to the joints of the two supporting side trusses. Here these are the stringers, horizontal member, that is longitudinal member. These are stringers. From here the load is transmitted to these members, this, and from here it is transmitted to the ground. Top and bottom chords of these sides trusses are connected by top and bottom lateral braces, which serves to resist the lateral forces caused by wind and the sideways caused by moving vehicles on the bridge. Additional stability is provided by the portal and sway bracing at the as in the case of many long span trusses. A roller is provided at the one end of the bridge truss to allow the thermal expansion. As I told you on the last slide, this is a fixed support. Here at this side there will be roller support. This is not fixed, hinged support basically. These are hinge support and these are roller supports. Common type of bridge trusses. The three more type of trusses are shown. In particular, the Pratt, Howe and Warren trusses are normally used for span up to 61 meters in length. The most common form is the Warren truss with verticals. This is the Warren truss. For large span, a truss with the polygonal upper chord such as the Parker truss is used for some saving on materials. A Warren truss with vertical can also be fabricated in this manner for a span up to 91 meters. Structural analysis. Now again, plain truss, simple truss. Basic element of a plain truss is a triangle. This is a basic element with three members. 3 bar joints by pin at their end, rigid frame. No collapsible or deformation of members due to induced internal strain is negligible. 4 or more bars polygon, that is non-rigid frame. How to make it rigid? Yes, answer is simple. Just make it a triangle. Add one cross member there, diagonal member. There will be 2 triangles and then the truss will become rigid again. Structures built from basic triangles are called simple trusses. Basic assumptions in truss analysis. All members are two force members, that is these are long slender members only made to take the longitudinal load, say tensile or compressive. Weight of the member is small compared to the forces it supports, hence are normally neglected. The weight may be considered at joints only. No effect of bending on members even if weight is considered, since we have assumed that members are rigid. External forces are applied at the pin connections, that you must understand. The external forces will be applied at the joints only. In actual welded riveted connections, what consider a smooth pin joint and the members center lines are concurrent at the joints. Now listen, let us the third last point. Consider this. These are the members we are joint at this point. They are concurrent at this point. So all members get concurrent at this point. Now consider this. Now take this is the member, one member. These are the ends. Now consider how it will this is a compressive force acting on it. Hence to counter this compressive force, a push at the joint is required from the member side. Hence any member with this sign, you can say that this member is under the compressive load. Similarly, a member which is pulling the joints, this is pulling the joint, this joint is there, other one is there, it is pulling the joint against the external tensile load. Hence this is the tensile stress developed in the member. The sign convention for tensile stress will be this one, whereas for compressive it will be like this. Assumptions for design. The members are joined together by smooth frictionless pins, already explained. All loads are applied at the joints, that is already explained. Due to these two assumptions, each truss member acts as an axial force member. Now common practice in the large trusses, already explained that one joint is hinged, this joint is hinged here, whereas this joint is roller supported. This is the roller, a small roller here, this is the roller. To accommodate deformation due to temperature changes and apply load, otherwise it will be statically indeterminate stress. Already explained you in the earlier slides. Next comes your method of analysis. A plane, this is PLANE, not plan, this is PLANE. A plane and determinant truss can be analyzed by graphical method and by method of analysis. These are two methods, the method of section and method of joint. We will be studying the analysis in next two lectures. In this lecture, we will be discussing only about the trusses and the assumptions and what are the methods to analyze. Determinacy, that truss is indeterminate or determinate. The total number of unknown includes the forces in m number of bars of the truss and the total number of external support reactions, that is J. Since the truss members are all straight axial force members lying in the same plane, the force system acting at each joint is coplanar and concurrent. We can again go back on the last slide to understand this point. Yeah, this is the point of concurrency of these four members. Yeah. Consequently, rotational or moment equilibrium is automatically satisfied at the joints, since all members cross at the common point, that is, and thus the moment about that point of for all members, forces acting on the all members will be automatically 0, because there is no vertical distance from the common, that is from the joint at the on the line extended of the members. Now, the total number of unknown includes the forces in M members of the truss and the total number of external supports reaction J. Since the members in a plane truss are all straight axial force members lying in the same plane, the force system acting at each joint is a coplanar and concurrent. Consequently, rotational or moment equilibrium is automatically satisfied at the joint or pin. Hence, only two equations are there for the method of joint, that is summation fx is equal to 0 and summation fy equal to 0. By comparing the total number of members with the total number of joints, we have an equation, that is m equal to 2j minus 3. If m equal to 2j minus 3, then it is statically determinate, otherwise indeterminate. Here also there is some spelling mistake. This is determinate. This portion is there, not there. Determinate. This is determinate basically. Otherwise indeterminate. If m is less than 2j minus 3, there is a deficient truss and it will collapse when an external load is applied. If m is number of members is greater than 2j minus 3, then the truss have extra members than the required, hence called redundant truss. In the next two lectures, we will be dealing with the analysis of the truss by method of joints and by method of section. Graphical method is out of your syllabus, hence will not be dealt with. Thanks for watching this video. Give your comment. Namaskar.